There are 7 masks worn by the people closest to you right now. And the scariest part, you've already seen all of them. You've been fooled by all of them. Maybe even worn one yourself without knowing it. These aren't dramatic disguises. They don't come with warning signs. They come wrapped in warmth, in loyalty, in the kind of care that makes you lower every wall you spent years building. They sound like friendship. They feel like trust. And by the time you see through them, you've already handed over something you can't take back. Carl Jung called it the persona, the face we present to the world. And Jung was clear, not every mask is evil. People adapt, that's human. But there's a difference between someone who adjusts for context and someone wearing a mask to extract, conceal, or control. Most people around you are somewhere in between, learning to tell which is which in real time while the performance is still running. That's one of the most valuable things you'll ever develop. I'm going to show you all 7 masks, and the 7th is the root, the one that keeps the other 6 alive. If you understand that one, really understand it, the rest start falling apart on their own. But you need the first 6 to see why the 7th is the one that matters most. Before we go in, I want to be clear. This is not about suspecting everyone. This is about seeing clearly. Knowing the difference between a person showing you something real and a person showing you something built for your consumption. That's not paranoia. That's intelligence. Here's what most people never figure out. You were trained from childhood to take people at face value. Someone smiles, you trust them. Someone agrees with you, you bond. Someone is kind, you open up. That training made you warm. It didn't make you protected. Protection starts the moment you realize that presentation and truth are not always the same thing. Let's get into it. Mask 1. The mirror. And this one is happening to you right now, in your friendships, at your job, with people you've known for years. You'll recognize it the second I say it. You meet someone, and the connection feels instant. They laugh at the same things you laugh at. They share your values, your opinions, your frustrations. The conversation flows like you've known each other for years. And you walk away thinking, finally, someone who actually gets me. Stop. That feeling, that instant click, that sense of being deeply seen is one of the most powerful things a human being can experience. And certain people have learned to manufacture it deliberately, systematically. Here's what they're actually doing. Before they share a single real opinion, they watch you. They listen. They pick up on your language, your values, what lights you up and what shuts you down. And then, carefully, naturally, they become it. They reflect everything you are back at you like a perfect mirror. And your brain, wired to feel safe around people who seem just like you, says, "This is my person." But here's the thing about a mirror. It has no face of its own. Here's the test. Ask them a direct opinion on something before you signal where you stand. Watch the pause. Watch their glance at your expression before they answer. Watch how their view always lands exactly where yours is. The mirror cannot hold a position when there's no reflection to copy. And when you catch it, that pause, that glance, that perfectly calibrated agreement, you'll feel something cold. They were never seeing you. They were using you to see themselves. That's Mask 1, the mirror. Mask 2, the martyr. This one is uncomfortable because it's going to make you look differently at someone you genuinely care about. The martyr does everything. They stay late when no one else will. They show up on their days off. They help without being asked. They remember the small things, your coffee order, your mother's name, the anniversary you mentioned once, and you look at them and think, this person is one of the good ones. And they are generous, genuinely. But here's what nobody talks about. They mention it. Not loudly, not aggressively, but somehow the sacrifice always surfaces. I've been stretched so thin, but I wanted to make sure I was there for you. A sigh that says everything without words, and suddenly you feel it, that small weight in your chest, the quiet sense that you owe this person something, not because they asked, because the giving was so visible, so carefully noted that the debt formed on its own. That is not an accident. What the martyr understands, consciously or not, is that human beings are wired for reciprocity. When someone gives to you, your brain registers a debt. Something in you wants to give back. It's not weakness, it's how we're built. And the martyr exploits that wiring beautifully. They accumulate invisible debts across every relationship. And when the moment is right, they call one in, and you can't say no, because after everything they've done, saying no makes you the ungrateful one. So you say yes to the thing you never wanted, and they file it away, and they start giving again. Ask yourself honestly, do I help this person because I want to, or because I'm afraid of what it says about me if I don't? That feeling is the invoice they never handed you. That's Mask 2, the martyr. Mask 3, the ally. Every person wants someone in their corner. Someone who takes their side, defends them in rooms they're not in, makes them feel like they're not fighting alone. That's not weakness, that's human. The ally is that person in the beginning. They validate your frustrations, they co-sign your decisions, they speak well of you to others. And because we're wired to bond with people who take our side, the ally gets close fast. Then something shifts. Their loyalty has a price tag. You just haven't hit it yet. Watch what happens when standing with you costs them something. Not something big, something small. A moment where defending you means disagreeing with someone they want to impress. A situation where your alliance becomes inconvenient. Watch whether they hold or quietly find both sides of the argument. The ally who costs nothing in comfort will cost you everything in crisis. And when they go, they take everything you told them during all those safe, open, trusting conversations. Everything you shared because you thought you finally had backup. Machiavelli wrote that a prince who relies on hired soldiers relies on something with no real loyalty. The ally without skin in the game is a mercenary in civilian clothing. Test it small before you need it big. That's Mask 3, the ally. Mask 4, the intellectual. This mask hides behind something we're all taught to respect, and that's exactly what makes it work. The intellectual knows things or performs knowing things, and most people never catch the difference. Here's what it looks like. You're in a conversation and someone starts talking in a way that makes you quietly shrink. The terminology, the frameworks, the research you've never heard of, delivered in a tone that says, if you understood this the way I do, you'd already know. And you don't push back. You don't ask questions. You just nod. Because asking for clarity feels like announcing you don't belong. So you defer. And that is exactly what they needed. The truth is, real expertise simplifies. The person who truly understands something can explain it to anyone in plain language without losing the core of it. The performance of expertise does the opposite. It layers on complexity, not to clarify, but to distance, to make the gap between them and you feel uncrossable, to make your own judgment feel less valid than their analysis. And once your judgment feels less valid, they become the authority. You become dependent on someone you never actually verified. Ask them to explain it simply. Real knowledge bends. The intellectual who can't simplify isn't explaining. They're controlling. And what they're controlling, they need you unable to evaluate it yourself. That's Mask 4, the intellectual. Mask 5. This is the hardest mask to challenge because challenging it turns you into the villain. The victim has been through things, real things, and their pain is real, at least in the beginning. But somewhere along the way, the pain stopped being something they moved through and became something they lived inside. It became the identity, the lens on every relationship, every situation, every person who gets close. Here's how it plays out. You try to set a boundary. You try to say, I can't do this right now. And instead of receiving it, they receive it as abandonment, as proof that once again, someone chose not to show up for them. And suddenly, you're not protecting yourself. You're explaining yourself, apologizing, reversing the boundary entirely, because watching them hurt is more than you can bear. That's the mechanism. Your honesty becomes cruelty. Your limits become weapons. And over time, without noticing, you start managing yourself around their pain, shrinking your needs, silencing your real thoughts, editing yourself to fit inside their suffering. And if you ever name the pattern, if you say every time one thing resolves, something new comes up, you become the next person who failed them, the next villain in a story that never runs out of villains. The tell is not the pain, the tell is the pattern. People who genuinely hurt eventually find their way through. The victim finds a new grievance every time the last one resolves. The situation changes, the suffering never does. That's Mask 5, the victim. Mask 6, the charming aggressor. This one should make you angry, because once you see it, you'll count how many times it already happened to you. The charming aggressor is magnetic, funny, the kind of person who lights up a room and makes everyone feel included. And somewhere inside that warmth, they hit you. Not with anything obvious, a comment wrapped in a joke, a question framed as curiosity that somehow exposed something you weren't ready to share, a comparison that left you slightly below someone else, delivered so smoothly the moment was already over before you registered the sting. The room laughed. You laughed too. What else could you do? And if you tried to address it later, that actually bothered me. Suddenly, you can't take a joke. You're being sensitive. The person who struck you is now confused, even slightly wounded that you'd take it that way, and everyone is quietly wondering why you're making it weird. You absorbed the blow. You took the blame. They walked away clean. That is the design. The charm is armor. It makes the strike invisible and your reaction visible. It guarantees you pay the social cost while they collect the social benefit. Don't evaluate this person in the moment. The charm is managing your perception in real time. Evaluate them after, when you're alone, when the laughter has faded and it's just you and what was actually said. Do you feel lighter after time with this person, or do you always leave carrying something small and heavy you can't quite name? That residue is not sensitivity. That residue is evidence. That's Mask 6, the charming aggressor. Mask 7, the Enlightened. This is the one I've been building toward, the root, the mask that keeps all 6 of the others alive. Pay close attention. The enlightened person has risen above it all. They don't argue, they observe. They don't get defensive, they reflect. They respond to every confrontation with the calm, serene energy of someone who has done the inner work and operates on a different level than the rest of us. They speak in the language of growth and healing and consciousness and triggers, and they position themselves always quietly as the person who has already figured out what everyone else is still working through. And here's why this is the most dangerous mask of all 7. It is almost impossible to challenge without looking like the problem yourself. Watch what happens when you try to hold an enlightened person accountable. You say, "What you did hurt me." They say, "I hear you. I wonder what that's bringing up for you." You say, "That wasn't okay." They say, "You seem triggered." When you've regulated, "I'm here." You say, "You did something wrong." They say, "It sounds like you're projecting. I hope you find peace with this." Do you see what just happened? You came with a real grievance, a legitimate feeling, and in one response, they turned your clarity into your problem. Your pain became your homework. Your attempt at accountability became evidence that you're the one still healing. And if you push further, if you refuse to accept the reframe, now you lack emotional intelligence. Now you're not ready for a mature conversation. And they, the person who did the thing, sit there looking patient and evolved while you feel like you're unraveling. That is not wisdom. That is the most sophisticated deflection available to a human being. Now here's why it powers every mask before it. The mirror survives because calling it out feels uncharitable. The martyr survives because naming it feels like attacking someone's generosity. The ally survives because confronting them always loops back to your attachment issues. The intellectual survives because challenging expertise makes you seem arrogant. The victim survives because pushing back makes you the aggressor. The charming aggressor survives because objecting makes you the one who ruined the mood. All 6 survive for the same reason. The moment you try to make the conversation about what they did, it becomes a conversation about you. That's the enlightened frame. That's the engine underneath all of it. And here is the only thing it cannot survive: stillness. Not aggression, not a louder argument, just the quiet, immovable decision to stay in the original conversation. I hear you, and I'd still like to talk about what happened. That's it. The mask that survived your frustration cannot survive your patience, because every deflection depends on you getting flustered enough to abandon the original point. The moment you don't, the moment you stay steady, calm, and clear, there is nowhere left to go.
And in that pause, in that silence, in that moment where the frame stops working, you'll finally see the face underneath. And you'll understand that the person who needed all that sophistication to avoid accountability never had the strength they were performing all along. That's Mask 7, the Enlightened.
7 masks. The mirror who became you to earn your trust. The martyr who gave to you until you owed them. The ally who stood with you until standing cost them something. The intellectual who confused you so you'd depend on them. The victim who made your honesty feel like cruelty. The charming aggressor who hit you and made you apologize for feeling it. The enlightened who turned every attempt at accountability into your personal healing journey. Now look at your actual life. Who around you always seems to understand you perfectly, but only because they've been watching you instead of showing you who they are? Who keeps giving in ways that always leave you quietly indebted? Who defends you in public but finds both sides when it gets costly? Who uses knowledge to shrink your confidence instead of expand it? Who holds you responsible for their pain so well that your own needs stopped feeling valid? Who strikes in moments that look like jokes and then acts confused when something lands wrong? And who responds to every genuine concern you raise with a framework that makes you the one who needs to do the work? Answer those honestly, because the answers will show you exactly who's been performing around you and how long you've been watching the show, thinking it was real. These 7 masks are everywhere. In your office, at your dinner table, in your phone right now, and most people never catch them because they're looking for something that feels threatening. But masks don't feel threatening. They feel like finally being understood. That's over now, because knowing the 7 masks is only half of it. The other half is examining your own, because the person who sees these masks most clearly is the one who has looked at themselves with the most honesty, not just outward, inward. Every one of us has worn at least one of these, sometimes out of fear, sometimes out of survival, sometimes because we learned it so young we forgot we were doing it at all. The rarest person in any room is not the one who can spot every mask. It's the one who doesn't need to wear one. The person whose actions speak without performance, whose trust is built by what they do, not what they claim to be, whose presence makes people feel safe, not because they manufactured it, but because they earned it. That's who this was pointing toward the whole time. If something shifted for you, tell me in the comments. Write the number of the mask you recognize most, in someone around you or in yourself. Let's see which one shows up the most. Subscribe to Behavioral Blueprint. This is where the real ones stay. See you in the next one.